Well, I think the most important thing that people, certainly anyone that's in any way new to this, needs to appreciate first, before anything else, is that current events are not random. This has been long planned. It's not been planned for days or months or years or even decades. It goes way, way back. We are looking at an agenda for the world, agenda for humanity, that has reached a point where it is closing in on its long-planned endgame. But it began a very long time ago. What is happening now in terms of all this loss of freedom was in my books decades ago that this was coming. How did I know that? How did Orwell know that? Because 1984 was not coming entirely from his imagination. Orwell was very, very involved in politics and the political arena. How did Aldous Huxley know in Brave New World in 1932 when he was absolutely from a family that was had many, many insider connections into what I call this global cult? How come so many people that I've quoted in my books over the years, insiders, have predicted current events? Because it's not random. What we have is two worlds living in one reality. There's the world of the population, and this is systematically kept from knowledge, information that they need to know to understand what the hell's going on about virtually everything. So the difference between these two worlds, if you can bring it down to one word, is knowledge. So this world of the population is kept in ignorance by an education system that's merely a perceptual programming operation, by the mainstream media that is just banging out this what I call postage stamp consensus version of reality. And then you've got the other world. This is a world of secret societies and semi-secret groups. This together I call it the global cult, which has passed on much more advanced knowledge that it keeps from the population through the generations, not to every initiate of a secret society, to the inner core, to the chosen few. And this knowledge relates overwhelmingly to two things. One, the agenda for the world that they are and have been pursuing generation after generation. And two, the nature of reality and the nature of life itself, which they desperately want to keep from us for reasons we might get into. And the reason that secret societies are secrets, particularly the inner core, is to hold this advanced knowledge in the hands of the few and keep it from the population. So people like me and others who've been researching this over the years, what actually has been happening is we've been uncovering what is known in this other world and communicating it to the public. But of course, up to this point, and even among vast numbers of people still, the world that the population has been programmed to believe in the real world, mate, I live in the real world, mate, is actually so dramatically different from the world as it really is, the world that's kept from us. But what has happened in 2020 up to present day is that events have put reality so much in the face of so many people, at least those who have a capacity for free thought. They have started to realize that the world they were told to believe in is not the way the world is at all. Once people see that actually there's a global web and it operates in every country, and the national webs, if you like, subsidiary webs, their goal, their job is to impose the will of the centrally dictated cult, what I call the spider at the center, in their sphere of influence. They want to keep from us the very nature of who we are. They want to keep from us that we are consciousness. We are a point of attention within an infinite field of consciousness, having a brief experience called human. The I is really consciousness, eternal consciousness. What this world of the population is designed to do with all its manipulation of information is to get us to self-identify the I, the true I, with our labels. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I am this race, I'm that race, I am this religion, I'm that religion. They are merely experiences that our eternal self, consciousness, awareness is having. But what this manipulation has done all the way through history is to manipulate perception so that we believe that what we're experiencing, briefly, is everything that we are. And when you think and you self-identify with the labels at the expense of the true self, then all you can see is limitation. I can't, it's not possible, which is exactly the perception that this cult wants people in. It doesn't want expanded awareness, sharp thinking, critical thinking people. It doesn't want that. It wants people who self-identify with powerlessness. And a great part of what's going on now psychologically is to infuse even more deeply that sense of powerlessness, that sense of there's nothing we can do. And in the end, it's all psychological, because if you are a few, and at the core of this cult, you get them in one room, then the only way that you are going to be able to dictate and drive the direction of the lives of billions is by controlling their perception. Because from perception comes behavior, and collectively behavior becomes human society. And if you go back, perception, which becomes behavior, is dictated by information received. So you control the information, you dictate to a vast extent perception, thus you dictate behavior. So if you look at global society and national society too, and you picture a pyramid, at the top of the pyramid you've got the inner circle of this cult, and it imposes its will, its agenda, on the level below itself. And that level acquiesces to that imposition and then imposes it on the level below itself. So very soon after you come down the hierarchical levels from that inner cult group, you are meeting people in the hierarchy who have no idea there even is a cult. But the same process goes on. The higher level imposes, the lower level acquiesces, and then imposes on the level below it. And then you come down to the bottom of the pyramid where the mass of humanity is. And if we, in our billions, acquiesce to that level of the pyramid which is seeking to impose upon us, i.e. governments, law enforcement, and so on, then we form a circuit. We create a circuit of imposition and acquiescence between the tiny few at the top of the pyramid and the mass of the population. And that circuit means that that tiny few have imposed their will, their agenda, on the entirety of the global population, merely through this imposition acquiescence sequence. And so what's the answer? We break the bloody circuit. We stop acquiescing with our own enslavement. And that, particularly in current circumstances, takes courage. A life without freedom is not a life worth living at all, because eventually everybody's psychology is going to unravel if this goes on and goes on and goes on. And because the psychology, the perception, is the target of this cult, because it knows that if it controls that, it controls everything, that this demolition of human psychology that's going on, it's all planned. If I programmed the computer next to me to do something and I pressed enter, would the computer process that demand through empathy and compassion? No, it doesn't have the ability to manifest those things. So it would just do them, coldly, calculatedly do them. And that, in a sentence, is the mentality of those that are driving this cult.